Hello. Yes, hi. Okay. So hope you have done with setup of React.js. Whatever we have discussed at JavaScript at the same time, ES6. And here we are going to write the functional part and as well output. Okay, so let us do one thing first. In the public, we have index.html and every output, every what I can say, uh, React output that should start or that should give from index itself. That too, defaultly they have given ID equals to root. You can change it. Where you can change it? This root is executing this ID root is executing or rendering in the src of index.js. React import React module from React and import React DOM, which loads the results into HTML elements with React DOM package and style sheet of index file. This is a component of an app. Every application that can have a group of components, and each component can have its own functionality. At the same time, the design we can make it. And in React, app is a default component from main of index. It is just connected to app. In this app, if you want to create sub components, you can create. That is, it is dividing a number of components from the main app. So at the same time, when you are rendering an app is rendering through an app is rendering its functionality and giving an output to the ID, which is the root. When we enter into the app, the required to sorry, the required sorry,
I have a doubt.
tell me please.
Maybe we can write the code in app.js and when we write the code in index.js.
Mostly we don't change the code in index until unless first point if you want to change that app to any other first point. And now every action, even if I want to display an output, for example, okay, let us do one thing. We have set an environment or sorry, have set an application right now. Let us see that output and according to our requirement, our data, our content, how we can write, we'll discuss. So first of all, as discussed, even the command, you have to enter into the application folder with npm space start. When you type this command and it starts its React scripts and it enters into the development server. Finally, if there is no error, it just give an output. a default page. Where is the default page? The default page is nothing but we can say in the app a function is returning. Throughout the concept of React.js as it is an output layer, we can say view layer. It's just giving preference to return something else to the an app is returning. This is an output to the index, and this app information is giving in the ID of that as we have done in JavaScript. Get element by ID of something with dot inner HTML or dot inner text and that equals to something value. Somewhere else we have done right now. In the same way, that value is pushing from this into the given ID. And now let us wait. So irrespective of the application, irrespective of the component, irrespective of the concept, you want to see something an output at least A, the character A, then you have to start off writing in app. An app is a combination of functionality where it can have subcomponents, all the subcomponents that should give an output to app that should give an output to index. So index we don't change to the maximum. Of course, we may add some statements, but we don't change. That is point. Okay, let us wait. As discussed, every application that should run at local server, which is a local host, and its port number 3000. So, irrespective of the browser, you can execute an output. Once everything is done successfully, it will show the IP address. I mean, where you the you know, where what is the address that you have to type or localhost simply. Let us wait. Still localhost 3000 has to give the URL. Right. So it's done. And now you are seeing a default page. Now you have two places. Okay. So the default page from where we are getting. It's clearly saying that in the src folder app.js and you can just change here. So go to app.js file in the return statement. Whatever they have given the HTML statements, everything, that is what it's giving an output. Okay. So how you can edit this page? One second. Then whatever we are doing an action, maybe displaying an output or something else, whatever it is, that should finally export to the application. That's the reason we require a statement of export as default, the app component. Okay. Now write a class, name the application, sorry, name that component which extends from the React dot component. Either you can use from the React module a submodule as component, or else you even can also in along with the React itself, as it's a submodule, you just have to specify in the what you can say opening closing curly braces like this. Once you have done this statement, then directly you can use that component. No need of again React dot. And every component that should render its part, and based on that functional output, it has to show in the return statement. So you just have to start with render. In the render, you just have to write a return statement. Without a return, there is no concept of an output, but you are passing to the application. So every component, at least maybe a simple or one line component or 100 lines of component that should finally return one final output. As we know that return statement will return one final output, only one output at a time. That's why, okay, in the return statement, here if we want to display, for example, React.js is a JavaScript library. I'm just writing that statement used for building user interfaces, especially for single page applications. This is a statement we want to see in our output. As soon as you just save, immediately it will be reflected. For each and every time, you no need to refresh or you no need to re-render your application. Okay, we have written a statement and then a statement that we are able to see. right now. So then we want that something that should apply in the center. That is first point. Additionally to this statement, we want to add few more statements. So, for example, if we want something heading for this, just think that we are entering as a point of displaying, giving a preference now to display something and output. So we can say React JS. You can say view layer because of we can say among MVC architecture model view controller. A view controller that a view layer is especially given reference to the React. Why means whatever that application, whatever that functional part that we are writing, that will be finally throwing an output at one statement, we can say return statement. Okay. Is it going to give an output? It is saying something that error. Adjacent JavaScript extension elements must be wrapped. Meaning of this statement is, as we know, return statement should return only one statement at a time, but we have given an output, we are throwing an output two statements. It is wrong. So that's why as it is unable to accept it two statements at a time, so it's giving error. But we want to see two statements or 10 statements or 100 statements output. Then how we can see? So when we want to make it a group of statements output, in that case, you need to wrap it. Wrapping of a particular or under one particular element. Only one that we mostly use is div. A div is a block. A div is a block level element which it can have a number of sub elements. And seeing that as you are placing a group of statements inside this div will be even considered as a single line statement only. Because of React is understanding, it is totally one block only, one output only. That's why. And then, right, we are able to see now heading at the same time statement. Then, next, if we want to apply that classes, I mean, or styling, then how? As already they have given something a default classes in app.css. Let us see. And if we want to apply, let us apply. Okay, I want to apply this app class, right now it's class, and this class I want to apply to the div. But in general, you will be writing class equals to that app. In React, there is already a meaning for class word, saying that it is a template and have properties and methods inside this under this component. A template that you are creating for an app component, which it can have properties and methods. So how can again you use the class equals to? That's why these people have given a naming convention which they have given in place of class name. Sorry, class name. Name it something whatever that you want to apply. As we have the text that should that it will be given preference in the center. Okay, let me just bring React.js is a library, JavaScript library used for okay. Now we want to add few more lines that to display. Along with this, just a standard statements or a static statements. We want to display the expressions. Whenever that you want to display the expressions outputs or variables outputs in React.js that should enclose in between opening and closing curly braces. So for example, React.js, I want to show as I just wants to write 1 plus 1. That is, I want to make it something 2, but it will show as a string React 1 plus 1. When it will be considered as an expression and do some evaluation and give an output dynamically when you have written in between the opening and closing curly braces. And you have written that expression in between that opening and closing curly braces. Now it is considering as a expression and doing some evaluation and giving an output. And one more point, when it comes to the point of inline expressions that you can directly write in the return statement. But when it comes to the point of multi-line statements outputs in expressions, multi-line statement expressions, we can't or else we are unable to work on it. In return statement, I'm saying a return statement is a point of giving reference to a normal text or a static text and additionally displaying the values of variables, additionally displaying the inline statement expressions. Okay, then as of now, as we want to display something, an expression, so that is in inline, so we have done. Okay, come to the point of variables, how we can declare an objects, how we can declare and everything. So observe now. A return statement is especially a combination of a group of statements that which we want to throw to the output. Additionally, when we want to work something, a variables, declarations, decision making statements, and loops like this, everything that should be executed, everything that should be written outside of that return, at the same time inside of render. So in the middle of before opening that return, at the same time as you have opened a render, there a program that has to be given. So as already we have discussed in JavaScript itself, let variable and constant. Mostly in React.js we go with a let. So I am just writing let a and that equals to something, a value 10 that you have assigned to the variable a, and you want to see now. Let us open. As we have wrapped a number of elements that can be placed in between the div elements now. So the value of variable a, if you have written like this, it just show a colon a string format. And as discussed, that variable that should be enclosed in between the opening and closing curly braces, a single opening and closing, and then you can see that value. Okay, and at the same time, now already we have started the concept. Already we have discussing the concept of, we can say, writing a group of elements under one is called nested elements. Also, the name nested elements. And now, for example, let me go with let only. Let first name something John. Let last name and that equals to something Wow. And these two things, if you want to display same like a variable of a, how you have written the same way, just writing here the value of variable. Let us write full name. We want to expect an output. So how the first name either in the same opening closing, you can also make it something a concatenation. And let us see now, right? Or you even can also give separately. That's our wish. Okay. Here we have two separate variables and concatenated in the output. But now my requirement is I just wants to make this thing, what you can say, as an object. That means let me write full name to something a different variable that equals to opening closing curly braces where it can have, like in the JavaScript we have written at last holding an object, sorry, creating an object that can have a number of properties, and each property that can be accessed with its object name dot property name, right? Especially at map and filter methods, we have discussed this concept of setting a group of properties under one common variable. We can say object. Okay, in this full name too. Okay, let me write here first name to make it something, comma, last name to these two things. Okay, how you can access as these two properties are under their, what you can say, full name to object, so you have to even access object name dot property name and object name dot property name. So full name to dot first name to, the same way full name to dot last name, and then write full name, the value of variable. At this moment we are just displaying that statements, setting some variables, so setting some values to the variables and in terms of different ways, that is directly or else we can say through object methodology. Then now if we want to use mm comment, how to comment if we don't want, for example, the value of this one variable a. Okay, before that comment, one more point also we can stay, we can discuss here the concept. Instead of directly writing here, I mean, but it's writing a object or variable and setting its value, it's common thing. Now observe, let full name three something and copy the total paragraph statement. That is, you are assigning a HTML element directly as a value to the variable. What's here can go sorry, full name, first name. But when you assign any HTML element directly as a value to the variable, don't enclose either single quotes or double quotes. Leave it like this. And then when you come to the output, you directly give a call to full name 3 because already you have set a paragraph element now. Again, no need to open. That's why, right? Again, we have displayed that full name. Okay. Okay. And apart these things, and if we right, so as discussed in the beginning of line 17, especially, we have done an expression of adding of two numbers and just gets evaluating and giving an output. Okay. And at the same time, if we want to do a condition, okay, we can have, I mean, in related to the writing a conditions, we have an option of one inline condition, what is called conditional or ternary operator, right now. Conditional or ternary operator. With this, you can make it an inline statement. So, as it is accepting the concept of inline statement, let us write here. We want to make it something, an expression with condition, and to get output dynamically. Let us go A. I mean, let us take A as we have given something in the very beginning. Double equals to, if it is 10, question mark, this is called, we can say conditional operator or we can say ternary operator right now. So, I mean, conditional or ternary operator. So, if A double equals to 10, then we want to show something. If it is not equal, it is not true, or else you can write it is false. And you can get here an output. Yes, it is true. Then write a statement checking the value of A. Just wants to see like checking the value of A with the 10. So wherever that we require to apply the values, I mean referring that values of variables, referring that not values, referring that variables, and we are referring and giving an output. Okay. Now coming to the point of comment. If we don't want these lines, these three lines, or else if we don't want all these lines, then normally what you will do in as it is HTML, you may think that less than symbol, exclamation, two hyphens, and write some, right now HTML comment. Okay, it won't work at all. The concept of HTML comment won't work. The concept of JavaScript comment will work. The same React. But one thing, okay, if we don't, sorry, if we don't want all these lines, that's why we are writing here slash star and at the end star slash. And if you see that output, it is showing it is also one of the character. So then how can you comment? To comment also you have to open and close the curly braces. Then only the comment will works. Otherwise, comment will not works. Then now come to the point of decision making statements and loop statements, and then working with inline styles, working with images, these points. Okay, as you have written a conditional statement here, and it is a single line or inline statement, right? Inline expression. So that's why it is accepted. But actually, if it is not an inline, it won't accept. Of course, decision making statements, if condition is not a point of inline, it is at least you need to open two lines of code. That is one for condition and another for block opening with output. So right here, I am writing. Okay, let us do one thing. Let me take a new. Let b equals to something, and additionally, okay, if b greater than 5, just a sample condition, you will be opening a block, and in the block you will be writing yes document dot write the expression is true. If it is false, it will enter into the else block right now, and then you will be writing the expression is false, right? Okay, now see that output. Why it is showing somewhere else the expression is false, the expression is false two times. Why two times? Actually, we have given only one time right now. To say that we want to see only one time, but it is saying that two times. That is first point. Second point, if you observe clearly, it is not displaying along with the styling or else along with the given content place. Okay, how can you identify? How can you identify that it is not displaying in the content place? Let us do one thing. In the app, for timing, make it something background color light gray color. So that yes, right now, of course, you can make it for total body also. Then, for our understanding purpose, first I have just applied that style of background. Now you can see an concept that statements which are inside that design, the statement which are outside the design. That is first point. So you got an output somewhere else. Yes, it is getting an output, but it is not showing in the design. It's saying something that a web page, web application, you have created a particular search box here, and you want to see the results what user have searched. If it is displaying somewhere else out of design, we will see. I mean, as if the content of website is too much, user won't understand where this display. So to make it wherever that you want to see that output in the design, maybe a left hand side, maybe a top, maybe that is particular area, particular box. We just have to give preference again that has to come inside the design only. I mean, you should not directly display that statement that what you can say directly in the decision making statements itself that is outside of written statement. So what you can do, you just have to bring that final statement, maybe a group of statements. again under one variable that should give an access. Meaning for timing, I'm just writing let something output one and that equals to make it empty for timing. Once you are then either it is true or else either it is false, then write that variable which it is ready to which is ready to get a value based on the condition, either true or else we can say false. Now, right, if it is getting true, you are entering into the block, maybe a one statement, maybe multi statements. Multi statements, how we can write with the backticks right now. The JavaScript that you have same way that you can write multi-line statements and that can finally assign to one variable. Same way that can assign to one variable and that variable that you can display in the output. So let me write here working with decision making statements and you can just print. Now let us see. We brought that statement also and working with the decision making statement, it is just displaying only once the expression is false, clearly what we have expected. Okay. So at the same time, okay, now we got a clarity how we can work in the same way. You even can also work with the nested if else at the same time, which case also. Finally, what you have to do, whatever that statement or group of statements that should display as an output value that all you have to set under one variable. Okay, you can say now as it is a point of decision making statements, we will be getting either this or that, and that you can say that variable that can be assigned to one of the sorry that output that can be assigned to one of the variable. Okay, accepted. But what about the concept of loop? Loop is not like that right now. Okay, let us do one thing. But one thing, while writing a loop in the middle itself, don't press Control S. Don't save because, of course, it's just a point. What? Why we should not save in the middle of that concept that you are writing a loop means once it is saved in the middle, that is without incrementing an operator or without decrementing a value, then it automatically executes its continuously finally. It's infinite loop. Finally, the application or finally the browser will hang. So that's why it's continuous process. That's why I'm just giving a hint to not to save in the middle of the program when you are writing a loop concept. Okay, let me come to the point. Let I and that equals to 0. Okay, then mm, while I less than 5 and here okay let me take as discussed let put something with empty and then when you enter into the block you can say output 2 and that equals to the value of I, and then actually we told that, or else we have discussed that HTML elements that should not be enclosed in double quotations. But we require something now break element. Okay, so what we can do? Can we write like this? Is it going to be accepted? Let us see. Okay, that is first point. I mean, the point is you want to apply, so you want to assign the value of I to the variable OK. When it comes to the point I equals 0, I less than 5, right? It is true and it is coming down or entering into this. Then once it is entering, that statement what we have written is assigning to the variable. Coming to this point, is it going to return? No. If it is a decision making statements that is completed and it is coming down, but it is a loop now, again it will go back to the condition. Okay. As we require something for each and every time that should update its value, that is what I can say, it should change. So then what you can do now, you can do it. I mean, I equals to 0, something output 2 equals to space, where I less than, that is 0 less than 5. The value of I is 0, that is assigned to the variable, and it's incrementing I1, I plus plus, that is I became 1, and 1 less than 5, and again entering the same statement is assigning to the variable output 2. So for each and every time when a statement is executing, you are overwriting. Finally, the value will be here, the value of I4. That will be the output, right? Because you are updating, you are making assigning for each and every time it is overwriting on the previous statement. Okay, first of all, let us write here the statement working with loop statements. Then see that output is showing in the format of an object. First of all, okay, it is showing working with loop the value of I4, and as it is holding a group of values, it is why it is showing an object, because of you have added or concatenated with a different data type of a number and a HTML element. That's why, as it is not accepting, of course it's accepting, but saying that it's a something converting to object, that is not acceptable in a proper way. Okay, leave it. I mean, leave it means just remove it. Okay, but what we have expected all the values, whatever that loop is executing. So what you can do, of course, one more point or one more option we have for each and every time as it's overwriting right now. So to not to overwrite, make it concatenation. Assignment equals to symbol. The first statement is saving, and second statement is saving, and third statement is saying, that is concatenating. For each and every time now it's concatenating. So the value of I0, the value of I1, the value of I2, and so on, so on. If you observe finally, the concept of loop is until unless the loop totally completes, then only it is coming out. Otherwise, it is not coming outside. First point. Second point, by the point of coming out of that loop, it is taking all the values as a single statement value output and just throwing at a one point itself to us. So it is not a proper way of displaying the data. For example, if we have a requirement to work with a list of records, a list of details of movie items. Let us assume maybe a customer details, maybe a movies items, maybe gallery showcase, maybe something. If we want to execute for n number of times and display accordingly design purpose, sorry, accordingly to the design also, then how we can work with the loop concept to make it something a proper way of structurized at the same time outputting for each and every time a new value. We have to work with the concept of built-in method which is called map that we'll discuss later. At this moment not, we are not going to discuss. When we come forward some steps, some other steps, then we discuss that map which is used to associate all the, what you can say, list of items into one of the functionality, and that functionality doing a process and giving all the list items. That is called, we can see map. Okay, that will come to the point of later. And we got a clarity of all the statements. Additionally, okay, we even have written the concept of applying the class name to the elements. But if you want to apply inline style, then how? Same like in the same render place, var var something name my style or something else, and that equals to inside this all the properties that what we require. So let us write here font. Actually, you will be writing font hyphen size right now, but here they have given to use font size like this, and then okay, let it be inherit. Then additionally, if we want to use color something FED, of course we don't know what is that color is going to get. Then we want to apply this style to the, as it is a variable right now. So okay, you even can make it as a let. Okay, you even can make it as a let. As it is a variable, it has to refer. So a style sorry, a style attribute, and that equals to opening closing curly braces and referring that my style. And then oh, it's applying, but something we are unable to see properly. So make it something for anything. Let us see. Better, but make it something nice effect. Of course, because we want to work with the total. But finally, it is applying. He just wants to make it something nice. So I want to use, for example, I want to use something. This one. Make it this one. Just okay. That is, and additionally, instead of just giving a background for the content, it seems something that until and unless the content is increasing, only the background is increasing. But we want to make it that full background. So how you can make it as a full background? Let us write. Where is that app? Remove this. Mm, where is the body? Okay, write that body. Body with background, and then so it covers that full. At the same time, instead of just a plain background, if you want to use what you can say images as a background, at the same time images as a background, at the same time image as a front end, we want to display, we want to work with images, then how? So let us bring some images. For time being, okay, I will go with this one. Same time, let me go with one front end image. Can make it anything. So I'm just going with two things. One is as a background, and another thing as a front end. And in the SRC folder itself, make it a separate folder for all the images. Okay, make it as simple. Okay, now this is sorry, that particular BG that should use as a background image. So the same place that is we have style sheet now. I mean URL referring to the images folder and that particular. Then now nice effect cover. Okay, now come and display the image in the front end. Normally, when you want to display that image, what you will be writing img element src like this. Right now, of course, here also img element only, and we want to display. So let us display here img src, and that equals to, if you have written like this. Okay, what is that image name? Take one, I think, like tc is h1. Take one dot jpg. Did we alt title and so on? Okay, see. Oh, sorry. Take this tch right now. Okay. Now let us see here. It is not displaying. How to display image in React? You have to use a built-in method which is called require. How? Open and close curly braces, same, using a built-in method which is called require of opening closing. Inside this dot slash, I mean you are referring to images folder and referring to a particular TE, whatever that image that you want. Whatever that image that you want. Then so right now. we're able to see. So this is how when you right click on it, actually you have saved in the SRC folder, images folder right now, but it will the images, that style sheets, that JavaScripts, any external JavaScripts that are all considered as a static things, static files. Okay, so when you right click and see, it's saying that under the static, under the media folder, even though we don't have, and it's just saying that it's created, and even the file name dot something, a random number, a random text, we can say something, a random ID or something else, it's just generating and setting up to that image. It's just they have given in a require is a built-in method. It's just pushing that into the static media and create a file which is something in unique for each and every image. It will be something a unique ID. Okay, but images will be placed in the same folder wherever that you want in the SRC images folder. Okay, and so we got now all the points. Whatever we have done is displaying, written the conditions, loops, and styles, and working with comment and working with images also. Then let us do one thing. Let us take a backup of this file. That particular file, it's enough. App. We have written everything in this file now. Only that file can have it. Now we are going to work with the concept of components. When we require components, as an application requires with different functionalities, we can say you are creating a social networking, for example, social networking application. So what are the functionalities that we require? Registration, login, profile management, and that is first major point. Okay, you can say, but there are a number of things inside that. Okay, validation. Sorry, we can say adding of friends, adding of posts, and like is also one of the functions that you have click on it. It has to save your name into the particular post that you have liked it right now. And same way, um, comment, sharing. So who shared that post, right? How to get an idea. So all these things, when it comes to the point of each and every functionality, will be considered as a component in React.js. Of course, even in AngularJS also, the same terminology we use. Only thing is the syntax and the functional point, the logics will be same, the syntax will be different. Okay, here we want to work with the concept as client or is okay, we have a requirement to maintain a records of person records or product records or employees records or movie records or anything. So finally, we want to make it something a group of records. So to make it a group of records, instead of directly writing that functionality in the app, we are going to maintain a separate functionality that is called we can say component, and that component that you are going to access in the app, and anyway that finally app is accessing in the index, so it will just connect final output. Getting my point? So make it something okay. So for whatever we have written in all the statements, let us remove anyway that we have took as a backup now. So we can just remove all the statements what we have written. You have received all, sorry, hope you have got the clarity, but we have discussed all the points. Before going to the concept of components, please let me know. Anyone, if anyone have any doubts or is anything that should know, please let me know.
I have a question.
Sorry, navigation.
I have a question.
Okay, okay, tell me please.
Is it compulsory to make
Mm,
class component or
yes, because of a component which can hold a properties and methods, and that can be do some process, give an output in the return. It is mandatory.
we can't use functional component for this one?
You can use the functional component that is also will work, but it's maintained, or of course, it's a preferable and you can say something, a standard way of writing a class with methodology is very easier and understandable to all the programmers. That's first point. At the same time, as you say, directly you write with the function app, that is also will work. We don't say it won't work. Both things, but giving as we are very much familiar with concept of class and with app and the not an app. Component name, class name. Inside this, you are going to maintain a group of objects, and each object can have its own properties and methods. So, properties and methods that you are going to write in this place that are acting in the render if there are any decision making statements or something expressions giving an output in the return statement. Both will work. I mean, directly with function
I want
or
to add one
uh,
thing that helps in clarifying. So, because if you can explain the difference between the class and functional component, I mean, if you understand that, I mean, I'm talking to the person who asked the question. So, basically, when you're trying to do some, it's the difference is same as what it is in actual class and function. So, if you want to have a functional component with in
hmm,
inside you want some
right, right. I will write now. I
data
mean,
processing or things like that,
right.
or
I
I
got.
think later on we will the sir will discuss about those um, what do you
Yes,
call it
I got your point. Look, okay, let us do one thing. Let us implement that functional component as we want to create a new component of person or something else, and how that component will be written with functional component. Okay, it's nothing. It's nothing but a arrow functions only. Let us write. Hold on for a second. Okay, so let us write. As we want, okay, let us do one thing. Let us. We are discussing that to remove these points we no longer require at this moment. Make it only one or two statements. Even image, if you want, you can make it or remove it. Additionally, you even have removed. Then let us place even what we have written that color directly for the app class. Then now, okay, now let it be these two statements as a common statements. And now we want to create the concept of list of persons maintaining that properties and methods inside that event handlers everything one by one. So when we require something, a concept of component declaration or we can say component creation in the src folder itself, whatever that component, maybe a person or product or customer or anything, that you have to give a name directly. Also you can create, but let us make it separate components in separate folders. So I just want to work with person component. So I'm just writing here a person. In this component, we require basic two files. What are those two files? Person.js and then person.css, because each and every component can also have its own styling. And the first line that you have to import React from React, and how that functional component will be a component which is having whatever that name that of component we have. We just make it something a const, and name of that component, and that equals to saying that it's a variable or constant, and that equals to opening closing parenthesis that it can hold a properties, and write its definition. In this definition, as we know that React is of course any component or every component that should return something and output. So return for timing, I'm just writing a simple statement. I'm a X and my age is something X. Okay, or else, and I am an X years, something statement we want to display. And we have written that import, that is module importing. Then we have written the definition, and we know that we have written the definition something else, maybe a one statement or 10 statements, whatever it is. But that should export, then only it can be accessed in the app. So export default and the name of that component. With this, you are exporting your functional component, what you have written, and as you are exporting in the very beginning of your app component, you just have to write import the name of that component, from where it is coming from, person, and the person folder we have person.js, and you no need to explicitly specify .js. After all these things, and wherever that you want to access that component, you just can access something like this as a HTML element format. And once you are giving a call, that statement we are getting an output. I'm an X and I'm an X years old. Okay, whatever statement that is something, and just when a React parser comes to this component, comes to this line, it will search for the definition as you have given its definition. It's entering and doing some process as it is returning something, that is returning an output. This is called, we can say, functional component, and this is called, we can say, class based. In the class you have to write function, but not directly functional component will work. Without a class, it is not possible. That's why you have to maintain sub-components can be maintained in terms of functional components. Okay, each component is acting something like a sorry, each component is acting something like an object where it can have its own properties and its own methods that we'll discuss in tomorrow's session. I mean, so far we have done is a concept of accessing a component, how to write a component, and when you are writing the name and doing some process and returning and total statements that you are exporting, that you are accessing in the HTML format, a component renderer, you can see here. Then what is component reusable? Component, what you can say, properties and methods, event handlers, that all we'll discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay, it's clear what you have asked. I mean, functional component is exactly that's what we are going to write in this planner. This is called, we can say, functional component. Okay.
So if I understand correctly, so we can write a functional component even in a class component format.
Yes. Okay.
The like if we have to design an application, what is the best way to go? Like, should we always try to write the functional component first, and if obviously if we need to do some data manipulation and some
No,
state kind of thing.
irrespectively, first you need to start with the concept of an app, right? Now, in this app, it's better and given preference to based a class. A class inside that for each and every concept, maybe whatever you are doing in operations in the application, make it a sub components as a functional components like this.
Okay,
My
so
suggestion is,
basically the most
hmm,
outer of the component should be the state, and rest others would be
yes,
functional.
exactly. It should be something that you have to export in the format of an class, and then inside this main class you can have functions, and that each function that can have in the presentation of
Yeah.
functional component.
Because this is because we can do all the state management and everything,
Yes,
like
yes,
life
yes,
cycle
yes.
methods all should go in the final. Yeah.
Yes, that's why we have done. Here itself, you'll be writing a state management properties and how you can set the values and events, calling and definitions, everything also. That's what.
So there will not be any scenario where we would need to write this is apart from app. There won't be any other component would be which would be a class component.
One second. One second. Hold on, please. Sorry. Okay. Yes. Tell me, please.
So I was asking, so in like my whole React application, there there will be just one class component and rest everything can be
Yes,
functional
yes,
component.
yes. That is a main concept. Okay, let me tell you. Okay, but one thing, if you don't mind, kindly don't mind, because already it's crossed that time. I need to start immediately.
No problem.
Right, I will discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay, na? Right then. Thank you and bye.
Good night, everyone.